Sai Brahmari. Welcome you all to learn another new topic, embryonic development and childbirth in humans. From the lesson Reproduction, of class 10 biology. Already we have discussed male and female reproductive structures and functions. The process of fertilization is the fusion of male and female gametes, the sperm and the egg or ovum. Fertilization occurs when the ovum passes through the oviduct. The zygote resulted is formed into a mass and grows to form a baby. The uterus at the time of fertilization is well adapted for receiving the developing embryo. Providing it with food and disposing of its waste. Learning outcomes. After studying this topic, you will be knowing about post-fertilization changes, embryonic development, parturition or childbirth. Keywords: blastocyst, implantation, gastrulation, placenta, gestation, parturition. Let us see the concept map on sexual reproduction in humans. Fertilization. Fertilization in humans is internal and occurs in the oviduct of the female genital tract. It takes place usually in the ampulla of the fallopian tube and oocyte is alive for about 24 hours after it is released from the follicle. Fertilization must take place within 24 hours. During fertilization, The sperm enters into the ovum and fuses with it, resulting in the formation of a zygote. Cleavage and formation of blastula. The first cleavage takes place about 30 hours after fertilization. Cleavage is a series of rapid mitotic divisions of the zygote to form many-celled blastula or blastocyst. It comprises an outer layer of smaller cells and an inner mass of larger cells. Implantation. The blastocyst or fertilized egg reaches the uterus and gets implanted in the uterus. The process of attachment of the blastocyst to the uterine wall or endometrium is called implantation. The fertilized egg becomes implanted in about 6 to 7 days after fertilization. Gastrulation. The transformation of the blastula into gastrula is called gastrulation. This process involves the formation of primary germ layers like ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm by rearrangement of the cells. This takes place after the process of implantation. Organogenesis. The establishment of the germ layers initiates the final phase of embryonic development. During organogenesis, various organs of the fetus are developed from different germ layers and begin to function. Then, certain cells of the embryo develop into membranous structures that help to nourish, protect and support the developing embryo. During the development of the embryo, tiny finger-like projections grow from the surface of the outer membrane called chorion into the soft tissues of the uterus. Gradually, small pools of rapidly moving blood form around these finger-like projections in the uterine wall. These tissues of the chorion and the adjacent part of the uterine tissue make up the placenta. Formation of placenta. Placenta is a tissue formed by the cells from the embryo and the mother. It is formed at around 12 weeks of pregnancy and becomes an important structure for the nourishment of the embryo. Under normal conditions, there is no direct flow of blood from the mother to the young. The blood systems of the mother and baby are separated by thin membranes made up of cells. This allows an exchange of oxygen, carbon dioxide, nutrients and waste materials by diffusion. Another embryonic membrane, the amnion, grows around the embryo itself. The cavity within the amnion is filled with the fluid called amniotic fluid. The embryo develops in this fluid filled cavity that keeps it moist and protects it from minor mechanical injury. Another membrane called allantois originates from the digestive canal of the embryo, forming the major part of a tube-like structure called the umbilical cord. It contains the important blood vessels connecting the embryo with the placenta. Pregnancy or gestation. It is the period of embryonic development in the uterus. Normally, the gestation period of humans lasts for about 280 days. During pregnancy, the uterus expands up to 500 times to its normal size. The average length of pregnancy varies by species. It is about 63 days for the domestic cat and dog, 330 days for the horse, 280 days for the cow, and 20 to 22 days for the rat and mouse. Let us observe the chart showing the month-wise developmental stages of the human embryo. Childbirth. As pregnancy progresses, the fetus grows and the uterus increases in diameter. The fetus usually comes out in the 9th month after fertilization. The head of the fetus is turned down towards the opening of the uterus, and at birth, the head usually comes out first. Sometimes, the feet may come first, and this makes the delivery more difficult. Oxytocin from the posterior pituitary stimulates uterine contractions and provides the force to expel the baby from the uterus, causing birth. Childbirth begins when the muscle layers of the uterus contract and relax rhythmically, resulting in labor pains. At first, the muscular activity of the uterus is just strong enough to move the baby slowly toward the vagina, the outer canal of the female reproductive tract. Generally, at this stage, the amnion sac around the baby breaks, releasing the fluid contents. This is a good sign that labor is well on its way. Then the contractions of the muscles become stronger and more frequent, and the baby is pushed through the vagina and into the outer world. The The umbilical cord leading from the baby to the placenta is tied off and cut by the doctor. The small piece of cord remaining attached to the baby shrivels and falls off within a few days. After the birth of the baby, the muscular contractions of the uterus continue pushing out the tissues of the placenta called afterbirth. During the last part of pregnancy, a watery lymph-like fluid called colostrum accumulates in the mammary glands. For the first few days after the baby is born, the mammary glands secrete only colostrum. It is very important to feed this to the newborn baby. It helps in developing the immune system of the child. Milk production from the alveoli of mammary glands is stimulated by prolactin secreted from the anterior pituitary gland. The ejection of milk is stimulated by the posterior pituitary hormone oxytocin. Points to remember: